talk about the future of the Green Bay Packers with Jordan Love and Michael Parsons. Let's start off with the defense because that's the biggest news of the day. You traded 2 first-round picks and your star defensive tackle Kenny Clark to bring in Michael Parsons. This is an A-plus trade for the Green Bay Packers. I know that you have to pay a lot of money to Michael Parsons, but it is what it is. He's one of the best defensive players in football. And if I'm the Packers, I'm not worried about first-round picks. It may be on the back half of the draft anyway. The Green Bay Packers have made the NFL playoffs over the last 2 years with Jordan Love, with him being the full-time starter. So you're set with that. And you bring in an edge rusher that's on the same level as someone like a Myles Garrett, a TJ Watt, a Max Crosby. He's a franchise difference maker. And that has been the one thing that the Green Bay Packers have missed over the last few years, is a true edge rusher that can make a difference. If you don't believe me, that's why they spent so much draft capital on bringing in players like Rashawn Gary. The same with Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker. They have tried over and over again to bring in star edge rushers through the NFL draft, and it hasn't worked out just yet. And the same with Lucas Van Ness. And you got to keep all of those young players, and you're bringing in Michael Parsons. Now teams have to go out there and they have to double team him, shift the adjustment of the offensive line towards the side of the field, and it will open up those one-on-one opportunities with the rest of the edge rushers with this roster. Rashawn Gary is already a good edge rusher in his own right, but he's not on the same level as some of those top defensive ends. But he is a difference maker in terms of sealing the edge, stopping the run, and getting to the quarterback on a consistent basis. He's just not an explosive pass rusher every single game. Michael Parsons has had over 12 sacks in every single year of his career. He's been phenomenal. Even when he's dealing with injuries, he's giving you the most that he can. And you bring him over from a team that you have decimated in the playoffs before in the Dallas Cowboys. It's just a great trade in my opinion. And this is a defense that improved all the way through. Last year in their first year with Jeff Hafley. In the past, you had a terrible DC and Joe Barry. He was horrible. But in their first year with Jeff Hafley, they were better against the run. Still not elite just yet, but they were better against the run and had a top passing defense. And that's with Jair Alexander missing a lot of time. You move on from him, he hasn't been able to play a full season in a very long time. So they're not going to go out there and miss him as much. You bring in Xavier McKinney last year in free agency. He had 8 interceptions last season. That was the second most in the NFL. Jeff Hafley, who was the former head coach of Boston College, he proved that last year he is a very good defensive coordinator, and he's a very good defensive mind with his adjustments on the fly. And you need to have a good defense in this division. You look at the Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams, that revamped offensive line, their brand new head coach in Ben Johnson. They're going to try to be an offensive-led team. The Minnesota Vikings, Kevin O'Connell's one of the best regular season head coaches. J.J. McCarthy is a question mark, but look at the other pieces around him. You now have Adam Thielen. Say what you want about his age. He's still one of the best route runners in the game. And you have Justin Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the game as well. And Jordan Addison. That's an offensive juggernaut with the Minnesota Vikings. And then you have another team in this division that you have to take account for in the Detroit Lions, who have been the best team in this division within the last 2 years with Dan Campbell being the head coach. This division is going to be a true bloodbath. So you have to go out there and you have to make a major trade. And I agree with Brian Gutekunst going out there and being aggressive. We haven't seen the Green Bay Packers be very aggressive in free agency in the past. We didn't see them go out there and be very aggressive by gouging the trade market. They have done that within the last few years with Brian Gutekunst being the general manager by going out there and trading up to get Jordan Love when you already had Aaron Rodgers on the roster. By going out there and getting a franchise running back in Josh Jacobs and bringing in Xavier McKinney. Those are great moves. And all of that comes down to the general manager and the entire front office with the Green Bay Packers. I want to give them their flowers. But their front seven should be drastically improved for this upcoming year within the next week. Because week 1 is going to be the true test for the Green Bay Packers for the rest of this season. But defensively, they're going to be better. Quay Walker is already a very good linebacker. Edgerrin Cooper, he's very good in his own right. Isaiah McDuffie, he's a solid linebacker. The secondary, outside of Xavier McKinney, you do have some question marks with Keyshawn Nixon, but he's giving you a lot of good production in the past. Nate Hobbs, he's been a consistent corner, especially with the Las Vegas Raiders. And you have Carrington Valentine. But this is still a defense that's going to be led on the back end by Xavier McKinney. And I always say this, as long as you have a good front seven that can constantly get to the quarterback over and over again, it will make your secondary look better because they don't have to hold up for as long. So if you could put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts, the same with Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy, with Jared Goff, you're going to be golden. And this was a defense that was already very good last year against the pass and in terms of taking the football away. Now, offensively, you bring in better weapons around Jordan Love. The problem with the Green Bay Packers, besides the edge rusher, has been wide receiver since they traded Devontae Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders. Even in that last year with Aaron Rodgers, he didn't play terrible. The wide receivers dropped a lot of passes for the first half of the season. On the back half of the season, they performed better. But they're still such a young group, and it's a lot of talent in this room. Christian Watson, he's dealing with an ACL injury right now. They suffered late in the year. We'll see if he misses this entire season, but he's a very good wide receiver. Catching has been a problem early on in his career, but over the last 2 years, he's done a better job in terms of catching the football and being the best deep threat with this roster. Dontavian Wicks, very good, very consistent. He's more so of a number 2 wide receiver. Romeo Doubs has given you a lot of good production in the past. He's looked like a number 1 receiver in a couple of games, but he's slated more so as a number 2 wide receiver. Jaden Reed, he's been consistent, but more so of a number 2. None of these wide receivers stick out as being some of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but they're solid enough to give you something different. Christian Watson, this big 50-50 ball wide receiver that can take the top off the defense. Romeo Doubs, this smooth route runner that can kill you underneath. Jaden Reed, the do-it-all wide receiver. And now you bring in Matthew Golden from Texas, who you drafted in the first round. I think over time, he will be the best wide receiver in this room. He did not have the best quarterback play at Texas. I know when Quinn Ewers went down, he looked better because of Arch Manning. But even when Quinn Ewers is just giving him terrible passes, he would come up and make some big-time plays. If you gave him a better quarterback room, he would have gave you better numbers last year at Texas. And he is known to be a deep threat, but he can do more than just be a deep threat for you. He's a smooth route runner, has excellent hands, and he can body up cornerbacks in the red zone. When it comes to those slant patterns, those crossing routes, going over the top with the post routes, and it's hard to go out there and basically press him up at the line of scrimmage because he is so fast with his release. That's what you're looking for with a strong arm quarterback like Jordan Love. You're just asking for the wide receivers to be better and to be more consistent and to take that extra leap going forward. That's it. And I love what the Green Bay Packers have done in the wide receiving room. You let them gel and grow with your quarterback. While they were playing with Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love was still being the backup, learning from Aaron Rodgers. Those wide receivers they got to develop with Aaron. And when you finally gave those first team reps to Jordan Love, the chemistry was already there because they were the veterans at that point in time. Then Jordan Love comes in. It's still a learning adjustment. Just because you got to sit down for a year or two in the NFL still doesn't mean that you don't have a lot to learn. Watching on the sideline is completely different from going out there and playing in game. And Jordan Love does need to take that extra step, even though I love him as a franchise quarterback. And I'm going to give him some excuses here. His first year as a full starter was phenomenal. You go against the Dallas Cowboys in that playoff game. You beat the brakes off them and you were the away team. You go against the San Francisco 49ers. It was one bad play towards the end of the game. Jordan Love throws a Brett Favre type of interception across the middle of the field. That can't happen. But once again, he's a young player, and even Brett Favre made a similar mistake early on in his career. It happens. But you learn from losing to the San Francisco 49ers. You learn from going out there and beating the Dallas Cowboys within that first year with him being the full starter. But in year number 2, the season was doomed from the get-go. You go against the Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil. The turf wasn't the best. He suffers a knee injury. He misses some time. You go with Malik Willis over the next few weeks. Malik Willis looked very good. And Matt LaFleur is one of the best head coaches in football since he took over his job with the Packers. The work that he did with Malik Willis last year was some of the best coaching that I've seen in a very long time. Malik Willis could not even have a passing touchdown in 3 games with the Tennessee Titans. He comes over to the Green Bay Packers. They ran the football at a high clip. They worked off a play action. He let Malik Willis use his legs with a bunch of RPOs with him and Josh Jacobs. And this is the one thing that Coach LaFleur said. He did not prioritize running the football with Jordan Love. He put a lot on his plate. You bring in Josh Jacobs, he can be a bell cow. They ran the football at a high clip when Jordan Love was out dealing with that knee injury, and he was dealing with the groin injury later on in the season. Running the football became a main priority even when Jordan Love was back into the starting lineup. So now you have an offense that's more balanced and can open up the playbook going deep down the middle of the field. That's what you're looking for with Coach LaFleur. And you have that consistency at the running back position. Aaron Jones was a fan favorite. He's still a very good running back, but his body was breaking down with the Packers. Josh Jacobs has less of a workload on his body compared to Aaron Jones. And we got to see last year with Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs was able to go out there and be one of the best running backs in football. We always think of Saquon and Derrick Henry in the year that they had last year. Give them their respect. But Josh Jacobs was a top 3 running back last season. He did everything for this roster. And Emmanuel Wilson, he's a solid backup to have. We'll see what Chris Brooks is going to look like. But having Josh Jacobs, you can give him the football 20, 25 times a game. And Emmanuel Wilson can come in for at least 10 carries. That's a strong running back room. Tucker Kraft, very good tight end. Has been Mr. Consistent. But in his last few years playing with Jordan Love. The offensive line is set. Zach Tom, the right tackle position. Elton Jenkins, he's listed as the center right now. Rasheed Walker at the left tackle position. And you have Aaron Banks at the left guard position. It's a strong offensive line. The Green Bay Packers are now a more complete team with making this trade to bring in Michael Parsons than they were 24 hours ago. It's the perfect trade and it's the perfect situation for the Packers to go out there and to compete. And you paid Jordan Love like he was a franchise quarterback. It's time for him to step up. And last year, the reason why his numbers weren't as great as the year before was because of those injuries to his knee, to his groin. It was a terrible pick 6 in the game against the Detroit Lions. And look, it was still a pick 6. It was a bad decision. But you can see him on the field. He's just limping around. He's trying to throw the football away. He just didn't have enough power because of his leg. And it went for a pick 6. You give the Green Bay Packers a healthy Jordan Love, he can play like a top quarterback. That game against the Philadelphia Eagles ran through everyone during that playoff run, except for the Los Angeles Rams. And you saw what they did against Matthew Stafford. They forced him to fumble the football, and the same with Kyron Williams. That was a top defense last year. So let's give Jordan Love some grace. But in that Eagles game, it was a bad interception. It was a predetermined read. The tight end slipped. It was an interception across the middle of the field. Jordan Love's wide receivers went down. No Christian Watson. You had another wide receiver. He went out with a concussion. So now you're down to your number 3, number 4 wide receiver. And they could not separate in open field. And it put so much pressure on Jordan Love and it put so much pressure on Josh Jacobs. That playoff loss was terrible for Jordan Love. But you have to give your quarterback help. You have to give them top wide receivers. You have to give them a top running back. And that is what Jordan Love now has. He has a top running back in Josh Jacobs. We'll see how the wide receiving core looks, but I'm very high on Matthew Golden. They should be in the conversation for winning this division. And unfortunately, injuries do happen every single year. But this division is so talented, I could see 3 teams making the NFL playoffs. It's going to be insane to see this playoff for the rest of the year, but I'm excited. But let me know in the comment section below, where do you rate the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North? First, second, third, or fourth? And where do you rank the Michael Parsons trade, A, B, or C? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.